Hello, I am Marcus and welcome to a new episode of EV Journey. Now, twice in a week, I am bringing you the latest news about the ID.3 first. Yes, hot off the presses, I've managed to get hold of the United Kingdom reference guide for the ID.3 first. Now, this is a bit different to the other catalogues we have seen, and it contains new information which we will go through. So it contains information about the ID.Light, that's the light on the dashboard, and it tells you exactly what the colours and the styles mean. It also gives us good news and bad news about the phone app that accompanies the ID.3 first, plus other information we already know in a bit more detail. Before we look at that, thank you to everybody who subscribed to this channel, and if you want the greatest and the latest news about the ID.3 first, you know where you're going to get it from, so please click subscribe below. Now let's start. First edition quick reference guide, hot off the presses from the United Kingdom. Now in the United Kingdom they're only getting the ID.3 First Plus, but they just call it the ID.3 First Edition. So this is actually the Plus, they're not getting the First or the Max. So I will skip through most of the pages, but I'll leave them a few seconds on the screen and give you a small overview if you want to pause the video and read the information yourself. So here, this is just giving us the content page. And here we've got the top 10 key points about the ID.3 first. There's just one thing here that seems interesting, and that says that it's got 204 PS, which is more than the Golf GT. I didn't think they wanted to compare the ID.3 with the Golf GT, but obviously they do. And it's talking here about the number of miles, and you can go from Milton Keynes to Portsmouth and back and still have 48 miles left over. There's not that much else on here to find that interesting. We'll get to the interesting parts in a minute. Now this is giving you all the exact size and turning circle of the car. I think we've known this before. This is a nice graphic to show it to you. And we have another one here. Here we have 385 litres of boot space. When you put the seats down, it's actually 1,267 litres, and they're saying it's 36 litres more than the Golf. Now, anybody who's looking at this will be put off from purchasing a Golf, I guess. So here, it's just generally the stuff that we already knew about the ID.3 First Plus. Here we get some other information, just the information again about the ID.3 First Plus. There's nothing new on here. And then it starts to get a bit more interesting. So here they show the tail light and turning light and the brake light. The brake light to me seems a bit strange, but apparently you can customize that. And here they're talking about the ID.Light LED matrix, which you get on the ID Plus, but not the one I'm getting, unfortunately. So here they're talking about the infotainment screen, and I've said before this is exactly from the Golf 8, and they say it here, they say this is Mod 4 tech, same as Golf 8. So if you look at videos of the Golf 8 entertainment screen, you're going to get a very good idea how this is going to look on the ID.3 first. It contains touch sliders for volume and temperature, etc. And here they're just talking about this screen here, which is actually 5.3 inches just behind the steering wheel. I really love the layout of this screen. I think it looks really simple and it'd be easy to use when you're driving. It's not full of lots of little details, lots of information, just really clear, easy to use, which is something I will like, I think. Now, this is where it gets more interesting. So this is the ID bar, which actually, or the ID light, sorry, that actually goes across the top here. So when you get into the car, it says welcome and goodbye to you, and then it will flash blue like this. Safe lock and unlock, it will show you these two red dots. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's something to do with locking the car, I guess. Turning suggests you want to turn right on the sat nav. It will actually put a blue line to the right to say to turn right. When you need to turn left, it'll put a blue line to the left to say you need to turn left. This actually seems pretty good, in fact. If it's doing an urgent braking signal, or you have to brake in an emergency, I guess this is something to do with front assist, or so you don't hit people or pedestrians. This big red flashing light will come up to say you have to brake. Perhaps if you misread a stop sign or something, it will also come up. I don't know. If you get an incoming call on your phone, it will show you this. You'll probably hear the phone ringing and you'll see this flashing or something. The best thing I like is charging. So I guess here it's telling you it's charged to 30%, and then you can see the rest it needs to charge. You'll probably be able to see this from outside of the car when you're charging from a bit of a distance. This seems pretty amazing. Here you see we've shown the charging when it says they're charging, and charging will be up to there. So it's probably like around 60% it's been charged up to at the moment. That's a real nice way to show you the charging. I really like the colors of this bar, and I think it's going to be really useful. I was thinking perhaps they might show a few more information in the bars. It only seems to have 3 colors, but we will see. I think that seems really good. Now here we're getting a first look at the WeConnect ID.app. You can stop and start charging remotely, good. You can preset charging times, good. You can check the current battery range and charging status, good. So if you're like a bit away from your car, you don't know how the charging's going. Now, this is something they said was possible, then they said it wasn't possible, and it is possible, so I don't know. So preset temperature of the air conditioning if plugged in. So apparently you can only use preset of the temperature of air conditioning if the car is plugged in, but they did say this will work if the car is not plugged in. So this is the bad point. Can you set air conditioning from the car when the car is not plugged in? Because, you know, in Portugal it's very hot, and often the car's parked in the sun. 10-20 minutes before you get to the car, it'd be great to turn the air conditioning on, but you don't necessarily have the car plugged into a charger. So hopefully this is something you can do without it being plugged in, but here they said it has to be plugged in. So this is a bad point. Perhaps this is something they're going to update in the software later, I don't know. So here it seems that from the app you can actually look for charging stations and stuff, which is good. Nearest route to nearest charging points, and you can find my car with a remote headlight flash and horn activity, which is great if you're in one of those car parks with a lot of cars and if you're forgetful like me. Now it seems that you don't actually need the physical Wii card. It seems that you'll actually be able to use this as a to charge the car. So via this app you can actually charge the car. You can actually lock doors, unlock doors, open windows, close windows, check the status of the car, which is great. Perhaps you've gone 20 minutes away from the car and you just realize, did I lock the car? And here you can remotely lock and unlock the car. Now, will this be like a key? Will it be keyless entry, so I don't actually need a key? I can just use my mobile phone like I can a Model 3. If that's something you can use, just your mobile phone to open and lock the car, then that may be something very useful, and you may not have to carry the key everywhere you go, because it can be a pain sometimes having to have a key. So here we've just got some information about the recharge and Ionity chargers, etc. So this seems slightly more useful information. So it's saying here that if you charge on a normal socket at home, obviously this is UK socket, but a European socket's a bit different, would be the same. It will take 28 hours to charge, and apparently we're getting this, they call it either Granny or Shuko charging cable with the car, so that's great. Now, if you have a 7.2 kilowatt home charger, it will take 9.5 hours. So that's perfectly fine. I think I'm getting a 7.2 kilowatt home box, so I can charge in 9.5 hours when I'm at home. Now, if you charge on a 100 kilowatt CCS rapid charger, it says 35 minutes to 80%. Now, in my previous video, we looked at the charging curve, and this seems to be true. From what people said in the comments, it seemed on the charging curve, you can get to 80% in around 30 minutes. This seems perfectly true. You can get to 80% in 35 minutes, which is excellent. On the previous video, we talked about the warranty and stuff, and here they're just mention it even more. Something here they're highlighting is that the car has got active cooling to reduce the temperatures of the batteries, probably very important in Southern Europe. And when you go on long journeys, even in Northern Europe, you go on long journeys in the winter, the batteries will get hot, and this will stop throttling, which is a problem the Nissan Leaf has. So you'll be able to do multiple DC rapid charges in a row, and it's manageable. You won't have that throttling. So the charging speed shouldn't slow down. If you do go on a, for example, 2,000-kilometer journey in the car, say from Lisbon to Paris, you can keep charging at DC chargers all the way, and hopefully charging performance should be the same all the way as the batteries are being liquid cooled. They talk about leasing. This isn't very important for this because it's very UK specific, but you can read it if you're in the UK and want more information. Here they're talking about the MEB platform. They've got a couple of interesting points. We already know that there's a wide wheelbase, so the interior space is bigger. Rear wheel drive, which is excellent. They're saying here there's large wheels, but they're saying the wheels are narrow. That's something I didn't realise. So the wheels are large. They start at 18 in mine, and they're 19 for the Plus and 20 for the Max, but they're saying they're narrow. So They don't look too narrow in the photos, but apparently they are narrow to help aerodynamics. That will be interesting. Are they more narrow than a normal car? Here they're just showing you the ID.3. It started with the Beetle, Golf. Now we've got the ID.3. Actually, I think this one looks much better than the production one. I really like the pre-production one, especially the front. But I suppose they had to change it a bit due to legislation. Here they're just showing us the ID.3 family. Thank you for watching this latest episode of EV Journey. Please click subscribe below and recommend it to your friends. Leave comments because that's the most enjoyable part of doing these video series. Thank you.